Chicken and dumplings. This was my 3-star Michelin meal as a child. Carbs, sodium, affection. So today on Poor Choices, we're getting grown as frock. Yes, I'm finally making the dumplings from scratch and upgrading our broth to see if nostalgia tastes better with a little bit of technique. So as always, we're gonna do a little bit of prep work first because we do not want to find out that we don't have something midway through this recipe. It's supposed to be about comfort after all. Why am I holding an onion and saying the words comfort? That doesn't make sense. We're gonna dice up 1 medium yellow onion, 2 celery stalks. I will say maybe if you have kids who are on the pickier side, you wanna go a little bit more finer. That way, the vegetables almost just kind of melt into our chicken dumpling. Sometimes I peel my carrots, sometimes I don't. In this case, I kind of want the extra nutrients and whatnot that's on the outside, so I'm not gonna peel these today, but totally up to you. And all I wanna do is just cut these whole towards the bottom, right? Like that. And then once I start getting up here to this thicker part, and this is just me making an executive decision here, I'm gonna cut it in half, just some half moons, just so, I guess at least as far as surface area goes and size, these are the same as the smaller, skinnier tip. And also if you see anything that's kind of funky like that, we're just gonna toss that out. I'm sure it's fine to eat, but I don't want to find out that it's not safe to eat. Some minced up garlic, I believe this is about 3 or 4 cloves. For our seasoning mix, we're gonna have a ½ teaspoon of dried thyme, ½ teaspoon of poultry seasoning. This is just McCormick's poultry seasoning, by the way, nothing fancy. We've got a bay leaf. I'm gonna go ahead and put this by the stove so I don't forget to put it in. ½ teaspoon of onion powder, ½ teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of celery seed. Celery seed, not celery salt. I'm just saying if you're in a hurry in the store, it's very easy to grab the wrong one. Same thing with garlic salt. Like a lot of people are thinking they're using garlic powder, but they're really using garlic salt, and then they're wondering why their meals are extra salty. So don't be in a rush when you're buying seasoning. It's too many in that aisle to just be like, I got it. ½ teaspoon of MSG, you're not gonna wanna skip that one. Don't be afraid of the MSG, y'all. ½ teaspoon of my girlfriend's smoked paprika. Anytime I can add a smoky element to a dish, I'm absolutely going for it. All right, in the Dutch oven over some medium heat, we're going in with 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And the reason why we're using unsalted is just because we want to be able to control our salt. And all I'm looking for is some foaminess. We don't want this to brown. If it starts browning, then we want to lower our heat. You can totally do this in a regular pot. I just like using a Dutch oven because it just retains heat so well. And it look pretty sexy. And then in goes our vegetables. Just a pinch of salt. Of course, my pinch is more like this. So you get the gist, right? Because even though we have some salt in that poultry seasoning, we don't have a lot. And we just want to let these sweat. We're not sauteing them. We don't really need them to brown. We just want them to start kind of getting pale in color. So give it about 5 to 6 minutes and then we'll check back on it. Got a dilemma on my hand. I can't find my wine bottle opener. I've got like 3 minutes to find it. Day is saved, we found it. It's talking all that shit about having everything prepped and didn't even have it done myself. Even better, it doesn't need a wine opener because it's a regular old top like that. All right, so now that these are sweated pretty good, we're gonna add in our 3 cloves of minced up garlic. We're also gonna add in that little spice blend, and this is called blooming, which is just gonna really wake up the spices, just intensify the flavors. We're also gonna add in our bay leaf. So everything's in here, we just wanna stir this for about 60 seconds. Now for our sherry that I geniusly opened. We just want about 1 to 2 tablespoons in here. It's almost like we're deglazing, but not really. So the sherry's gonna brighten everything up. It's gonna cut that heaviness later when we add our cream in. This is like emotional support for our broth. And then we just wanna nestle our chicken thighs in. I've got 4 of these bad boys and these are skin on, bone in. The reason for that is because bones just make better broth and skin makes better flavor. That bone has a lot of collagen, gelatin, a lot of marrow flavor. It's all just gonna melt into our liquid and the broth is gonna become thicker. And then the skin has a lot of fat in it and that fat is flavor. So we wanna keep that in there. And if you want to, you could go chicken breast. The thing is, I always use chicken thighs because you just can't mess them up. They stay juicy no matter how long you cook them. With the chicken breast, once you pass a certain point, it's gonna be trash. So now I gotta wash my hands. We're also gonna add in 6 cups of chicken stock. Yeah. Big tablespoon of our Better Than Bouillon chicken flavor base. We want to fortify I'm gonna use that word a lot, fortify in this recipe. We want to fortify that chicken flavor, just in case our chicken isn't chickeny enough. And lastly, about a teaspoon of W sauce, just for some umami. And now we just wanna wait for this to come up to a boil, and then we're gonna lower our heat to low so it's just a nice gentle simmer. And we're gonna let it simmer, partially covered for 35 to 40 minutes. All right, we've brought this up to a boil. Now we wanna take this down to a very gentle simmer, which is just very light bubbles. And as you see from the side by side, very noticeable difference in the size of the bubbles. So this is the simmer we want. And actually we can go maybe a little bit smaller than this. And then we're just gonna cover this partially for 35 to 40 minutes. I'm gonna err on the 40-minute side because now it is time to make our dumplings. And that might take me a bit to do. All right, for our dumplings, we're gonna do the dumplings that I grew up on, which is Southern style, the thick rolled kind of dumpling. All right, to a bowl, we're gonna add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and just like the celery seed versus celery salt, make sure you are grabbing baking powder and not baking soda. Very different results if you use baking soda. Half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of Cajun seasoning. I'm using a slap your mama Cajun seasoning just because I had it in the cabinet and hadn't used it for a while. It's a good seasoning as well. I just want to give this an initial whisking because we want everything to be distributed evenly. Then we're just gonna pop this to the side because we need to grate a couple of things just so they incorporate a lot easier into our dumplings. We're gonna grate up 3 tablespoons of cold unsalted butter. Emphasis on the cold so that way it grates much better. Otherwise, it's just going to smush in your hands if it's nice and warm. Voila. That's gonna fold into our dumpling mix so well. We'll just pop that right in there. We're also gonna go in about a 1/4 cup of freshly grated sharp cheddar cheese. Pop that in here. And about a tablespoon of chopped chives. This is gonna give us some flavor and some color. And then we're just folding this all into one another. And ideally we wanna work fast with this so things don't start getting room temperature and start sticking together. So next up we got 1/2 cup of whole milk and 1 whole egg. You can use buttermilk if you want to, but I like to use milk because at least once this recipe is done, I can have other uses for this. I want to crack this egg into a separate vessel because if our eggs are bad and we put it into our dry mix, well, now we're screwed. Also, if there's any shell or anything, and then a 1/2 cup of milk. Honestly, I probably should have poured the milk in here first just because of the volume displacement of the egg. Give this a whisking. And then I'm just gonna work this in slowly. Eventually I'm gonna switch over to my hands and start kneading it. But right now I just wanna work it in slowly. Just kind of folding everything in together, kind of falling apart on me. It's supposed to be a shaggy dough, but I'm gonna make an executive decision. Put just a little bit more milk in here, okay? Just a little splash. That was like 1 tablespoon. Maybe that's 3 tablespoons. Again, not perfectly smooth, not like a pizza dough. Still want some shagginess to it. All right, first things first, we wanna flour this surface just so things don't start sticking. And then we're gonna just kind of knead this. So I'm just gonna fold, push down, fold, push down. We only need to do this like 4 or 5 times. Fold, push down. And then I'm just gonna kind of redistribute some of this flour here. I'm gonna cover this with a towel and then we'll be back in 10 minutes. All right, it's been about 10 minutes. We're just gonna move this to the side real quick because I wanna put down just a little bit more flour. We're gonna take our dough, we're gonna cut it in half. Just put a little bit of flour on my rolling pin. We're just gonna roll this out. We're looking for 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch. It ain't gotta be perfect. As you can see, it's kind of falling apart a little bit here, but it's totally fine because guess what's gonna fall apart in my stomach when I eat it? I'm just gonna take my pizza cutter. For the sake of things, I'll just round it off here or square it off here. We're absolutely gonna use this again. Just go down the middle. I'm gonna do them like this. I'm gonna place them on a sheet. I got some parchment paper here. I don't wanna stack these on top of one another because they will fuse together. It's a very light dusting. So now we're just waiting for our broth to finish, and which should be in about 5 minutes or so, and then we'll drop these in, get ready to finish these up. All right, it's been about 40 minutes, maybe on the 45 side. This smells amazing. One of the first things I wanna do, just because I see it right here, I'm gonna get this bay leaf out. And then I'm gonna take our chicken thighs out. We're gonna need to let these cool for just a second so we can shred. And also while we're doing that, we're just gonna bring this down to just low. I'm gonna give it a little stir. Oh, that is some good broth right there. Partially covered, time to shred. All right, for those of you at home who may be impatient or maybe have a tendency to touch hot food, I'm gonna put you on some game real quick. These are liners, glove liners. So we're gonna put these on, and then we're gonna cover these with some nitrile gloves. The liners are gonna protect my hands from the heat, but still give me the dexterity to do whatever I want to do. And then these gloves are going to keep my liners clean. You can buy these on Amazon. They're not that expensive. They come in like a pack of like 20. If they do get dirty, just throw them in the wash machine. So we can jump right into this. And I use this method all the time for like pulled pork, pulled chicken. Anytime I got to pull something and I don't feel like waiting for it to cool down, I go this way. All right, now we got all the chicken off. I'm just gonna go shred. You can shred as fine as you want. You can leave it as chunky as you want. This is your preference. There's no right or wrong. There we go, nice and shredded for us to go back into our broth. So back into the broth, our shredded up chicken goes. And now comes the most important part. We got to taste this thing. That's really good. It definitely can use some more salt. The way that I know it can use some more salt is like, I taste something there, it's good, but I want it to be a little bit more intense. Let's taste again. There you go, right there. So now we wanna bring this back to a gentle boil. So I'm gonna crank this heat up. We're just gonna place these in one at a time. Resist the temptation to dump it all in at once. We just wanna be able to give the dumplings the ability to find their space in this broth. Just gonna move these around a little bit, and then keep going. Then I'm gonna bring this down back to a simmer, and I'm gonna simmer uncovered for about 12 to 15 minutes. And of course, we're gonna taste these and make sure they're the right tenderness, because even though I said 10 to 12, we don't wanna eat undercooked dumplings. All right, I just wanna check one of these dumplings. I'm just checking it for tenderness. All right, let's see, tenderness. Oh, nope. Oh, hell yeah. I hope you were able to experience eating that too when it fell on my microphone. So we're gonna add some finishes to it, starting with just a half cup of heavy whipping cream. This is gonna kind of bring back some of our traditional dumpling color. I know some of you might be like, hey now, John, that looks like a pure Cajun soup, which honestly, would have been mad at it. It's also gonna help thicken. Yeah, look at that. Now we're looking like some good old dumplings. We also are going to add in 2 more tablespoons of butter, because why not? Elements, so we'll stir that in. I wanna add just a dash of hot sauce. This is Crystal's hot sauce, just to kind of go along with the whole Cajun thing that we're doing. So just 1 dash, 2 dash. I'm gonna allow this to simmer for about 2 or 3 more minutes. And then I wanna check on that thickness. Now, if it doesn't thicken up enough, what I can do is let it continue to simmer for another 5 to 10. As it continues to simmer, it'll evaporate off and thicken up. It'll also concentrate in flavor, which is a pretty good thing. I wanna wait for it to come back to a simmer, and then I'm gonna start the timer. It is time to plate. Our dish, put it here. Here's how I think I'm gonna attack this. First, I'm gonna do just a couple of ladles of just everything, right? I'm gonna go with a slotted spoon because I want to see if I can add some height to this. Not necessarily adding more broth. And then what I wanna do is maybe take with some tweezers like a carrot. Just put it somewhere like there. Some fresh cracked black pepper, a few twists of it, just in places where it could break up the pattern of the broth. Hit it with our chives for color over there. And there you have it, Southern chicken and dumplings. Poor Choices Kitchen, we have a Patreon link down in the description. $1 a month is all we ask for to pay for recipes in these here inflated times. And we also have YouTube memberships, does the exact same thing. Either way, it all goes towards funding the channel and all these things, and it feels like you're behind the scenes because you're seeing all my production equipment. But I really appreciate all you checking in. I feel like you all are digging this new format, so I'm gonna keep it up until people start hating louder than the likers.